All right. Welcome, folks. It's been a while. Welcome back to the 44th episode of the Aspec podcast series. I'm here today with Katrina and Katrina from the A-Rom-Com film series. Really excited to be back with them and to hear all the amazing things that have happened since we last had a chance to talk with Katrina and Catherine. I'll just remind folks, my name is Tai Wai, PhD candidate in climate science, also the host of the Aspec podcast. And the Aspec podcast, we explore the lived experiences of asexuality and aromanticism through an intersectional lens, and spend a lot of time looking at things like Aspec representation in the media, amatonormativity, allonormativity, and compulsory sexuality. And today I have the honor to be speaking with the director and the producer of a film that will be coming, a short film that will be coming out very, very soon here on YouTube on June 27th, a rom-com film. And with that, Katrina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Katrina. I am the writer and director and editor and executive producer of a rom-com. We've been working on this project a long time. We'll talk more about the film. I'll let Catherine introduce herself as well.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm the producer on a rom-com. To throw it back, I've been here since 2023, late 2023. Katrina's been working on this sooner. So we're really excited to get to talk about like the wrap of where our film is gone and what the future might be.
Yeah. So a rom-com, it's a platonic meet cute. And we're excited to be able to finally share it with the world on YouTube.
I cannot wait, and I know that many folks here in the chat are also excited. Pseudo Suga said very excited for the film. I know Duke's very excited as well. And would you like me to share the trailer at this point?
Let's do it, yeah.
All right, so we've got a trailer here to give you a little sneak peek of what you can expect on June 27th. I'm extremely excited to check this out myself. Let me open that up. All right, so that was the trailer. That looks great.
Got it. Yeah.
What do you think, chat? Are you excited? Sometimes they talk. Pseudo Suga says, "Woo!" There we go. Yeah. Pseudo Suga's excited.
It was silent.
We also got another person says, "Very cool." Awesome. I'm very excited, and I know that on the 27th there will actually be a Zoom call with a bunch of folks following the premiere on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll be having our YouTube premiere at 3 p.m. Eastern on the 27th, and then at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, we will be having a special virtual roundtable hosted by Cody, aka A-Stat Advice, and Alicia, also known as the girl Alicia on Instagram. And we'll be bringing in a few panelists to talk about Aspec characters in media. And we've announced 2 of the panelists so far. You can find those on our page. We could probably put our link tree in the chat, and you can find all of our information.
Yeah, send me the link tree, and I'll share it in the chat here. And we actually had Lisi on the channel here for Soul Ace Day back in February, and it was very exciting to chat with Lisi and also with him, the author and artist for the webcomic series Willow and the Family Ace. Are you familiar with that one?
No.
It's really lovely.
I'm not, but probably going to learn about a whole, but I'm sure I'll learn about a whole bunch more of media through this event we're putting on.
Yeah, definitely worth checking out. Willow and the Family Ace has a really diverse set of Aspec experiences, everything from, demisexual to, bellis romantic. Just really, Kim really tries to show just the beautiful diversity of experiences under the Aspec umbrellas. So really, really worth checking out at some point.
Yeah.
Exciting.
All right, so last time we spoke, I can't believe it that it was over a year ago, back in February of 2025. And at that point, you had just wrapped up filming.
Yes.
Yes.
And since then, you've definitely had a number of milestones. So you premiered June 2025, this time last year in DC, which I was very excited to see. Posted on the socials.
Yeah.
And then can you tell us what happened in October at the Rochester LGBTQ plus film festival?
Yeah, we can talk about that, and we can also talk some more about our premiere, the in-person premiere from last June. But yeah, so we applied to a few different film festivals, and we were accepted into one in Rochester, their Image Out LGBTQ film festival. And yeah, we were part of one of their short film packages of screenings, and we actually ended up winning the audience award for best short film at their festival.
That is amazing. That's so exciting to get an Aspec film winning film, the best short film at a queer film festival. You don't hear that very often. So absolutely amazing, and a huge congratulations. It's really exciting to see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And as far as I could tell, we were the only Aspec film at the festival. I was there, and our assistant director, Sean, went with me up to Rochester, New York, and we were there for mostly just the day that our film was shown, and the festival lasted like a week and a half, I think. So we saw a few other films and then looked through the listings of all the other films, and I think we were the only Aspec film there. So we were happy to provide that representation.
That is amazing. I'm so happy for you, and absolutely amazing just to see, a Aspec film, as I said again, winning best film or best short film. Yeah, it's a long time coming, and hopefully it's a sign of wonderful things to come with Aspec representation, in the future.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and the festival, it kind of scheduled. They had a bit of a scheduling conflict because there is a queer arts festival happening the same day as our screening, so there wasn't a whole lot of people in the audience at our screening. But when we did our in-person premiere in DC last year, that was a very packed event. In fact, people even complained a little bit about it afterwards about just how crowded it was. But it was cool to have so many people, and it was a lot of Aspec people. It was people from the Aces and Arrows of the Mid-Atlantic meetup group were there, as well as a lot of people from this film. Catherine, do you want to talk about what you thought about that event?
Yeah, I was going to say, I was not at the Rochester Image Out one, but the premiere was wild because we had a room that was like supposed to hold 45 people. And we were like 2 people away from getting capacity cut off at like the 90. I think our final count was like 87 people in the whole room. And it was like a private space. So it was like stacked on stacked in there.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was crazy. And it was really great to be like with an audience who we were able to get the feels. Like I'm able to like tune in and watch, but this was more fun to watch like what the audience's reaction was. And people were like, it was really great to feel validated that people are like laughing at the beats that were supposed to be funny and getting really immersed into the story and like experiencing feelings with that. It was also really helpful, informative, because we did a survey and we polled the people who were there, and we wanted to hear like what their thoughts were and what the impact was. And it was overall really positive. A lot of people made comments about like how they felt very seen and centered. A lot of comments about just this felt like an inclusive community thing and not quite as much like trying to connect with the, I know that I talked about that last time. A lot of media is about like label discovery and that journey of like discovering your identity, but this was not that, and people felt very like attached and centered to that.
Yeah, I actually have the spreadsheet pulled up with with some of the results from that survey. Yeah, like Catherine was talking about, one person said, I appreciated that it struck a balance between teaching vocabulary and cultural elements, but focusing more on the story than education. And that way it felt like the Aspec community was finally centered versus Heartstopper and sex education, where age representation is almost tokenized and put in for our education or to check a box. And then there's also people talking about how they really felt represented by Parker as a Black Aspec character and as a neurodivergent character. And so, yeah, it was great being able to share this with the community that we made this for.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, the Aspec representation we typically see is white, and it's very one-dimensional. And it's like, this is asexuality as listed in, a definition, and there's nothing else interesting about it. And this goes far beyond that and actually explores what Aspec relationships can look like. It explores, the diversity of experiences under, asexuality and aromanticism. You've got, diverse Black, Indigenous, racialized characters. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's been a few Aspec groups that have done private screenings of the film as well. There was a couple groups in the Netherlands, and there was one group in India. We were able to join remotely for one of the screenings in the Netherlands, Catherine and myself and 3 of our actors, and so that was kind of fun getting to watch another room of Aspec people enjoy our film. And the part that they seemed to really latch onto was the part where Merida shows the middle finger to show her ring.
Yeah.
And then like afterwards, they were all excitedly flipping us off. And I'm like, oh, did we just create a new
start an international symbol?
Right. So
I always get very excited to see, an ace or occasionally an arrow ring. And, anytime I see a black ring on somebody's finger, I'm like, is that an ace ring? But I'm always too scared to ask. Unless I...
Right.
The aura rings are tripping me up. I'm getting like, do I ask?
Yeah. Been there many times. Because there's a couple times I've asked. People are like,
good to have a couple other clues as well.
Yeah, exactly. A couple times I've asked, and people are like, "What's ace?" And I'm like, And then you had Maryland Film Festival in April this year, right? How did that go?
Yeah, and that was a big film festival, and it was exciting because that wasn't a queer specific festival, but we shot the film in Maryland and had a Maryland State Arts Council grant that helped fund part of this. So it was good to be able to show a local film at a local festival. And again, so it screened actually 3 times at the Maryland Film Festival. But the one that Catherine and I went to, because it was one that was on a weekday, and then we went to the one that was on a Saturday, and it wasn't a huge crowd, and then they were having a lot of technical difficulties, and then we didn't get to do a Q&A afterwards. So I didn't get like a whole lot of like good feedback from the event. But then they scheduled a third screening to make up for the technical issues at the very end of the festival. But that was like Sunday night at 9:30, and we didn't want to. We weren't ready to go back up to Baltimore on a Sunday night before weekday.
No kidding. Yeah, that's a late film. That's a late screening. I barely make it to 9 o'clock before I crash these days.
Yeah.
A
So
positive spin on this real quick, because that this film festival, like, it is a local one to the terms of like how film festival hierarchies go. It is like the second tier of amazing, because there's Oscar qualifying film festivals, which is incredibly competitive because people want their films to possibly go to the Oscars. And then there's like the step down, which is like the state run, long established regional ones that like really are filmmakers' next step to like their career if they're an independent. Like Barry Jenkins, who did Moonlight, screened at Maryland and for his project Moonlight. And so that was really big and exciting that our film was selected for that, because there are lots of things that shoot in Maryland and get grants that don't get to go to that festival. I had met someone a week after the festival on a film shoot who was like jaw dropped that was the festival we were in. So it was really exciting to get to be a part of that and get to know that community of the Maryland Film Festival.
that is absolutely amazing. And to get, Aspec representation into, one of these more major film festivals is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, no, it was very exciting. And it was such a nice community there too.
I'm so glad, and it was well received as well, I take it.
Again, we were there at the tech issue ones, and we didn't get to talk to anyone after, but it seemed like it was a positive thing from like when I had a quick chat with like the lead programmer about it. So it seems like it went well, even though we were not there to experience it.
I'm sorry about the tech issues. I mean, it always happens. I have them all the time in my streams, as you can see. So it's just part of I guess it's just part of how it goes these days.
Yeah. My parents had gone to the screening at the Maryland Film Festival that Katrina and I did not go to, the one that was on a Thursday afternoon, and that was actually the first time seeing the film. So it was cool that they got to go see my film in an actual theater and everything.
Absolutely. Duke said Catherine wearing Ace colors. Also love your hair. And then Duke also mentioned it's the only time I've ever seen the black ring on the middle finger was in the teaser trailer. I've seen it several times IRL. There's a number of folks I know here locally that wear ace rings. Only ever seen an arrow ring once or twice, and so that's the white ring on the other middle finger. But you don't normally see the arrow ring. I see a lot more ace rings than I do arrow rings. I think that speaks to the fact that of the two Aspec identities, Ace is a little bit more recognized, I think, than aromanticism.
Yeah. And I don't wear one personally, but I thought it would be good for the story and like a good way for
absolutely
the characters to recognize each other.
Exactly, and to I guess, make folks aware of that part of the culture as well, and that that is the black ring on the middle finger on, always mix it up, is it the right or the left hand? Because one is that you're a swinger and the other is that you're ace, and I don't want to mix it up.
I wonder about the swinger one. That's
So we just finished a raid train here on Twitch, focusing on Aspec Pride at the start of June. So back in 2024, I participated in a Ace and Arrow train where a whole bunch of different Aspec content creators came together, and it was like 2 weeks long, 24/7 for 2 weeks straight. And I met so many folks that have subsequently appeared on the podcast. And one of the folks, Bumble and Busby, was gracious enough to organize it this year. I did a lot of help behind the scenes on that. And I had the opportunity to talk during one of my Raid Train slots about the importance of decentering romance and the need to question societal norms around what relationships can look like, and that not all relationships are necessarily romantic. And so, I think a rom-com, as you saw, does a great job in highlighting the fact that, not all relationships are romantic, and you don't have to have romance in order for it to be a meaningful and valid and important relationship. So,
Yeah.
sorry, you cut out.
Oh, I just said yeah.
Elizabeth Brake, in her 2012 book, Minimizing Marriage, Marriage Morality and the Law, coined the term amatonormativity as the assumption that everybody desires to be in a coupled and monogamous romantic relationship. For many aromantic folks, but not only just aromantic folks, also polyamorous folks and many other non-monogamous folks, that is not the case. And for me, I find great joy in the platonic relationships I have in my life. And, I subscribe to a non-hierarchical relationship philosophy called relationship anarchy. And I see all the relationships as being, equally meaningful and providing, kind of a unique perspective to my life. And so, are you able to comment a little bit more on how the film explores Aspec relationships?
So we obviously were trying to center a platonic meet cute in order to try to show a story where a platonic relationship is just as valuable and coveted and exciting and fulfilling as a romantic relationship. Obviously, it's a short film, so it's mostly just the meeting part, and then at the very end, we get a glimpse of their future friendship. But yeah, we're basically kind of going with a rom-com type story and showing that people can have those types of desires, as in like really wishing they could have a close friendship in this similar way as people wishing that they had a romantic partnership. And obviously that can play out differently for different people. And but Catherine, do you have any more to add to that?
I was going to say, just kind of like honing in onto what a rom-com is. It's sort of like a baseline. It's sort of a wish fulfillment story for achieving like a certain sort of relationship. And so I think that we do hit that. And in doing that in a platonic way, you kind of get to see sort of a little bit of the struggles and, again, the wish fulfillment sort of joy part of what is different in like about a platonic relationship and finding it, especially because there's like all sorts of stats about like after the age of 25 it's near impossible to make a friend and things like that kind of stuff. So it's definitely, I think it hits those things, and it's sort of in exploring that format you get to kind of see what the struggles of Aspec people might have in finding those like relationship anarchy style relationships.
Absolutely. And, we've talked
Yeah.
before on the podcast here many times about, Aspec identities as being invisible and just how difficult it is to find Aspec community and to see, Aspec relationships shown, and to also have a film that says no, not all films are about the happily ever after in a romantic relationship. And, rejecting that is really great to see. And it should be done way more often than it is. Because we only ever get to
Agreed.
see that one kind of relationship, and it's the coupled monogamous romantic one.
Yeah, and adding on to what Catherine was saying, a lot of the way we described this a lot during our crowdfunding campaign was that the essential part of a rom-com story is rom-coms are depicting a wish fulfillment story where people are craving some form of connection and happiness, and wanting connection and happiness is pretty much universal. And so we're having that story for the aromantic and asexual communities.
Absolutely. It really just highlights how important, especially for the Aspec community, how important platonic, relationships are and how fulfilling they can be. Because I think, using the typical relationship escalator that, we often hear about in society, you devalue platonic friendships. And unfortunately for many folks that I know, many of the friendships they had growing up, as folks have come to marry and find, life romantic partners, they lose a lot of those friendships as a result, and it can be just so alienating. I know it's definitely happened for me many, many times. And Duke says, we need to really focus on things like the importance of platonic relationships, along with things like the split attraction model in school. Is not at all, definitely was not even on the radar in my sex ed class. It was never talked about, but I don't think even today it really is thought of when we talk about these issues, in K-12 schools, unfortunately. So really
It's a
focusing
long
on.
journey for the States. We have a
Yeah.
lot of other things going on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, many, many other things, unfortunately. A lot of those same things happen here, unfortunately, as well. Just not as visible, maybe.
Yeah, and a lot of a rom-com was, I was drawing a lot from my own life in writing a rom-com, but the platonic meet cute is the fictional part, the wish fulfillment part, where I would love to have met someone who then wants to go on travel adventures with me. And so, yeah, that's kind of the fictional, aspirational part of the story. And then a lot of the logistics of the plot were based on real life experience. And then parts of both the characters of Parker and Merida are based on aspects of my personality and background. So, yeah, this is just kind of a cool way to tell part of my story in a way that other people could relate to, and then also create a better version of the story.
What Duke said, I was remembering recently the musician Natalie Merchant had a solo singing career. And I think that was the first time that Duke had experienced aesthetic attraction, possibly. And we don't talk nearly enough about, these other kinds of attraction beyond just sexual and romantic. And the fact that the split attraction model goes beyond just talking about those kinds of attraction, but also includes others like aesthetic and sensual, which many folks conflate with sexual. And we often
Right.
just talk about the split attraction model being sexual and romantic being different, but in reality it says there are many kinds of attraction and they're all different, And we need to think about this holistically and recognize that all these things are different. And that's not at all done by most of society.
For sure. It can be difficult to find people in real life who can sort of separate their feelings of attraction in that manner, and who are willing to have a sort of relationship or friendship with you without romance and monogamy and everything just kind of getting in the way of that.
Exactly. I think at this point, we might actually take a little bit of a short break just to split it up, and then we'll come back and talk about. I'll come back in a few minutes once we run the ads and talk about what's next, and maybe look at the behind the scenes video.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so we'll swap over to the BRB screen. We'll get the ads out of the way, and we'll see you back in about 5 minutes. Does that work? All right, welcome back from the ads. Duke said that according to Alice Cooper, there are no mosquitoes in Iceland. I can tell you that the Canadian Arctic, there are a lot of mosquitoes because I've been up there, and they get really nasty with all the so basically, because of the fact that over the Arctic the ground is, you've got this layer of permafrost over much of it that kind of acts as a semi-impervious layer with a seasonally thawing layer above it. What happens is you get all this standing water that forms when the snow melts and the top of the active layer starts to thaw, and so you get all these pools of standing water for all the insects to lay their eggs and come out for that very short window of 2-3 months when it's actually habitable for an insect to live. And so they just are relentless. Black flies, mosquitoes, and you will get swarmed by them. So I can tell you that the Canadian Arctic, that is not the case. There's lots of mosquitoes, but at least they only last for, June, July, August, and by September they're gone. Yeah. Yeah. Climate change is changing a lot of things, and many species are migrating northwards into places they've never been. Of course, a big concern. Oh, my apologies. Thanks for letting us know, Duke.
No.
You were muted.
I was just saying that Iceland, am I unmuted now?
Yes, you're unmuted. Thanks, Duke.
Okay. I was just saying that Iceland used to have no mosquitoes, but unfortunately they do have mosquitoes now. There were news articles last fall talking about how they started to get mosquitoes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but with climate change, lots of things moving northwards. A big concern we have over large parts of Canada, of course, is the fact that we've got all these new varieties of ticks starting to creep northwards into places and bringing, the many types of diseases associated with ticks into places that ticks have never existed before. And of course, mosquitoes and all the other things are doing the same thing in response to climate change.
How fun.
Yep.
I know we're supposed to like all the creatures, but I don't those are my two.
Yeah. I know mosquitoes serve an important purpose for pollination, but I still can't like them personally.
Yep.
It's like wasps. I know that they're important for pollination, but I absolutely despise them and I cannot stand them.
And they're probably food for a lot of creatures.
Yes, like they serve important ecosystem roles for sure, but it doesn't mean that I have to like them personally.
Right.
So before we talk about what's next, is there anything I missed about with questions that you wanted to talk about before we jump into the behind the scenes and talk about what's next?
Catherine, did you have more you wanted to talk about festivals and comparing it to your previous festival run?
I think you have a question about like the future of what did you say about the future of like what this inclusion looks
Yeah.
like?
Oh yeah, thanks. I missed that.
Okay, because I
So
got the
yeah.
but yeah, no, go for it.
So, we talked about the fact that, aspec identities have historically been overlooked and left out by the larger 2S LGBTQIA plus community. And we talked about the fact that, here's a aspec short film being chosen as the best short film at the Rochester LGBTQ plus film festival, and just how exciting that is to have aspec representation being chosen as the best short film. Do you see this as a promising sign that has been done around, aspec advocacy in the last several years? And can you comment on, what this means for, the future of, aspec media in general?
Yes. So the kind of answer to that is yes and no. Um, but there's a promising future heading our way, I guess, is that what was exciting about the Rochester Out one is that it was an audience award, but it was not a like voting internal body award. And throwing it back to when I had my Ace short film in 2020, I applied to 39 film festivals and I got into 2, and none of them were queer. And they were very small. It was pandemic, so the nature of that is they were very small and they were online. There was no in-person setup with that. And it was interesting because there's not a lot of aspec short films, but the couple of things I had heard was people have met the similar thing. I think that, I don't want to be like looking for the bad, but I do think there may still be a little bit of discrimination with the aspec folks and their stories when there are lots of other queer stories that are also trying to get homes, and perhaps with like the people who are selecting, perhaps with the people who have awareness. And so I think that is part of what makes it hard. So Aroundcom had a much higher hit rate because we submitted to 9 festivals and we got into 2. And one was a smaller regional queer one, which was exciting, and one was a larger state festival. But I think that there were many we didn't get into that we thought we had a really good shot. And a lot of them were the bigger queer festivals that we did not get into. So I think that their awareness and the advocacy is starting things, and there has been a change in like the past 5 years, but I think we still have a lot more to overcome in terms of like community awareness and sometimes the bias we face from the rest of the queer community in that front, and the stories that people want to share and tell when, a festival might only have 10 spots and they have to pick what they think is going to draw the most people in. It's not just like, oh, our
Mm-hmm.
favorite films get to be in a festival. There's a lot of sort of like
Mm-hmm.
programs and sort of like goals when people are programming, and aspec stories sometimes just still aren't fitting into that.
No, unfortunately, for most people, they want to see the romance, they want to see the sex, and that is inherently, as you mentioned, creates a bias, unfortunately, for many aspec films. And I constantly have to remind folks, with my organization here locally, that hey, not everybody necessarily will be interested in all the films out there. I think one of the things our executive director mentioned was, I think it should be um, mandatory viewing to watch. What's the why am I blanking on it? The really popular um, series about hockey here in Canada. I should know it.
Heated rivalry.
Yeah, heated rivalry. They're like, yeah, that should be mandatory viewing for anyone. And I'm like, yes and no, because what about folks for whom they don't experience sexual and or romantic attraction? And you got to remember that the queer community includes asexuality and aromanticism. And there's unfortunately, I think for many folks, they still don't think about that. So you're very right on that.
I'll also give a little more context on our win there in Rochester. Out of our short film blocks, we were the only filmmakers who were there in person. So there's a decent chance that might have played into audience members' votes. Not to say that our film wasn't also good and deserving the awards, but just also we were the only people who were physically there. Their filmmakers didn't make the trip out to Rochester who were in our short films block.
Film festivals are very interesting because they're meant to like champion and share, but they're also, even though they're nonprofit, some of them are a business and they're an organization and they're trying to build relationships. So sometimes there are politics. Like I think that we probably were the best audience short film voted there, but there might have been some politics involved, like we showed up. So, there are many factors that go in that we don't know, but a win is a win. So we'll take it. And we have that sort of like relationship we built with that festival for the next films that we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I will say that the festival organizers were very nice and welcoming, and it was a great experience. And they gave us all sorts of discounts on chocolate and gave us a whole bunch of swag. And there's the photographer of the festival in particular was like taking me and Sean around and showing us their little art exhibit, photography exhibit, and personally sending me a bunch of photos afterwards. So I have nothing to say but positive things about that film festival. I don't know that we can necessarily say that it's an indicator of good things happening for Aspec films.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah. Yeah, we still unfortunately have a long way to go with, in particular, aromantic representation, and for folks to even recognize what it is and that it is not the same as asexuality. I constantly have to remind folks here that no, they're not the same, because a lot of folks confuse the two. And I've been doing some work recently with our local university, and I had to catch a little mistake in the post for International Asexuality Day and correct them on the definition of asexuality. So it happens.
Yeah.
So anything else you wanted to mention before we talk about what's next for a rom-com film?
I guess I'll just briefly mention, we all talk about wanting more Aspec representation, and for anyone who cares about there being more representation, I would encourage you, whenever you see a project that is searching for funding, to try to pitch in a little bit. I know everyone is tight on funds, but even if it's just a small amount, if it's $5, if it's $2, it's just the fundraising portion of this process was by far the most difficult process. And there's a lot of people who want representation, but like for indie projects or indie films, like those need to be crowdfunded. And so just whenever you see a project, do your due diligence and make sure it looks like they're make sure that it looks like they've done their due diligence and have a solid team and a solid plan and everything. But for any causes that you care about, it's definitely helpful to try to support monetarily however you can, even if it's just a very low amount.
Yeah. And the dominoes of how films get made and get more budget and directors and filmmakers and artists are able to create their work and get funding and vision investors, the dominoes start with you. Like, if you think this is something you need to see, this later is like, Katrina, I want to make an indie film that's a feature length. We can be like, we had like $20,000 on our own from backers from this point. That's okay. But like, if we either of us did another film and it's even bigger, it's all sort of stacking up to being able to get filmmakers feature films for these demographics and these topics, because you are there putting your money where your mouth is about. You want this. So again, do your due diligence. But if people say they need funds and supports, think about doing it, even if it is a small amount, because this is showing numbers. It's creating data that's going to create the entertainment future.
Absolutely. And, it just sort of harkens back to the fact that how important, mutual aid and crowdsourced funding is as a whole within the 2S LGBTQI plus community, and just how important it is, for many of us here on Twitch to have, these mutual aid raid trains, for example, to cover even some of the most basic necessities for many of us during these times. And speaking of Busby, they were the host of the Aspec raid train I was talking about earlier. Good morning, Busby. Good to see you. Busby's appeared on the podcast in the past as well. We were talking about how fun the Aspec raid train was at the beginning of June, and just how much fun it was, and talking about the fact that I went on a very long rant, which I love to go on rants about, on amatonormativity and the frustration that it brings.
Yeah.
And how wonderful it is to see, a rom-com film be released at the end of June here on YouTube, and that will actually have, really diverse representation of non-romantic relationships, and exploring the importance of relationships that are not romantic, and how important they are for the Aspec community. And yeah, my special interest is educating people on the term amatonormativity and ranting about it more generally. It's usually, if I can teach somebody new every day the word amatonormativity, I've done my part. It's
sure
a goal
most of my
of
friends
mine.
have heard the word amatonormativity from me at some point.
Yeah. It's a big word. It's a mouthful, and it took me a while to figure out how to pronounce it. But once I did, it became my special interest for sure.
Right.
So what's next for a rom-com film? We kind of mentioned it earlier, but can you give us a little bit more details?
Yeah, so obviously we, as we've been talking about, we have our YouTube premiere on June 27th, and I've been trying to structure this in a way where we can have a decent shot of the algorithm picking us up and disseminating our film out to the community who wants to see it. Because after all of this work from everyone who has supported us and from everyone who's worked on the project, which there was over 50 people just on our film shoots, including the cast and the background actors and the crew and everything. I want to make sure that now that the film gets seen and that it reaches our target audience. So that's why I'm trying to do all this marketing for our YouTube premiere and putting the event together, the Zoom event together with ASAT Advice and your girl Lishi, and so yeah, if you're able to come and watch our YouTube premiere and come to our Zoom event, and then hopefully share the film with your friends in your community and try to get the word out. Hopefully we can get the film to the eyes who want to see it.
Absolutely. And I know just how frustrating the YouTube algorithm can be. I tried being a YouTuber for a while, and I know from talking to a lot of folks like Lynn Saga and many of the other queer and Aspec YouTubers, just how difficult it has been to fight the algorithm, especially in the last couple of years, to get any sort of visibility. So I'm really, really sympathetic and totally, understand just how important it is to get the word out there so that the algorithm is going to pick it up in the way that we need it to. So I shared the A Romcom film Linktree, which has the information about the upcoming Zoom webinar, and you can also watch I think the link to the trailer there is there too. Is it?
Yes, yes, it is. And also for our Zoom event, we have a discount code ASPEC, ASPEC, where you can get $2 off. And we're charging just a little bit of money for that event so that we can offer a small stipend to our hosts and panelists to make sure that we're paying people for their time. So that's why we're charging a little bit of money for the Zoom event. But you can get $2 off with the code ASPEC.
That is more than reasonable. Absolutely. A lot of us do this work for free and volunteer out of, the bottom of our hearts, but also you got to survive, and, things are real expensive right now. So it's absolutely more than reasonable to be charging, a small amount, and to be able to give back to the folks that have put in such an incredible amount of work to see, a rom-com film through. So I cannot wait for it. I'm very excited. And is it all one word? Like, is there any capitalization for the code Aspec, or is it all lowercase?
I don't think the capitalization matters. You can capitalize however you want.
I'll just put code Aspec for $2 off on the webinar.
Catherine, did you want to talk about any of your upcoming projects?
I am working on not a spec short film, but sort of a capitalist rant short film. And it is about this Muppet on a very popular TV show recently purchased by a big streamer is trying to have a meeting about the broken contract promises with the executive of the company. And so it's about sort of capitalism and unions and how that affects entertainment. And I'm probably going to be starting a crowdfund for that this fall.
That sounds very interesting, and I think many, many, many of us are so fed up with the world of capitalism here in the podcast. And also there's, as Duke mentioned, seems to be a huge bias towards Gen AI, which all of us absolutely despise here with a passion.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to finding out more about your upcoming short film about capitalism. Definitely looking forward to checking that out in the future, because I can go on a long rant about how fed up I am with it, as can many folks here.
I'm condensing my rant into a screenplay.
Fair enough.
It's getting hard.
It'd probably be a lot more interesting to see it in a screenplay than listen to me rant for a solid 2 hours about it.
I'm sure they're both interesting in their own way.
Yeah, Busby's gone on many rants themselves about how much they despise this capitalistic world that we have to exist in. Should we show the behind the scenes teaser?
Yeah, I'll just introduce it real quick. So this is a 5-minute behind the scenes video that our associate producer Sam edited for us, and it's not on YouTube yet, but I'll be posting it on YouTube soon. And some of our crowdfunding backers have seen it already, but and people who were at our in-person event last year have seen it. And then pretty soon everybody will be able to see it. But yeah, it shows a little bit of what it was like behind the scenes on set. So go ahead and show that. Yeah, you'll get just a bit of an idea of how many people were involved in the making of this film.
There's always so many more people than you expect for these films.
This is a very big short film project, and it was really exciting because so many were volunteers. So it was a great environment.
That was great. I really enjoyed that. And I was about to say, we could have sent you so much snow this winter here. It snowed like nonstop for like 3 months. Almost every day I was shoveling here, it felt like. And there was definitely a point where we probably had 2 feet on the ground outside on
wow.
on the grass, and more like 4.5 feet piled up at the edge of the driveway.
We had this demonic weather mixture that we nicknamed Snowcrete because we had 3 inches of snow and a layer of ice, and then 2 inches of snow and a layer of ice. And you could walk on 7 inches of snow without sinking in. And we're not prepared for that here. We don't even have like municipal plows for everyone. We're sort of between north and south, so we don't have that. So I was thinking it's really good we didn't have that the year we filmed. Like we had a little bit of snow, we made it work. It would have been nice to have a little more, but I was like, thank God we did not have Snowcrete, a rom-com filming year. We would have been trapped in Maryland all together as a crew.
Yeah, it took a full week for the plows to try to, because they had to like chip through this ice that was just everywhere.
Yeah.
and you literally skate on it. It was interesting.
Yeah, we did get some freezing rain on top of the snow, and it made things so brutal, so icy on the sidewalks here. So I know exactly what you mean. It's brutal.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're not dealing with that right now. Instead, it was like 86 and 70% humidity here the other day. It's not like that now. It's a lot cooler. We had a cold front roll through and a little bit of a mini thunder shower earlier. So I think it's more like 68 Fahrenheit right now, which is a lot more manageable. I don't like heat personally.
Yeah. Well, our wintry story can bring people some chilly vibes for
the
summertime.
Absolutely. Cool us down in the summer humidity that I despise.
Yeah.
That was really enjoyable, and I cannot wait for the premiere on June 27th.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you there virtually.
Yeah, I very excited.
But yeah, people can follow us at a rom-com film on YouTube and Instagram, and to try to help get the algorithm to pick us up, you can maybe give our trailer a like on YouTube, and we'll be posting the behind the scenes video probably in the next couple of days, and you can like that as well, and we post stuff on Instagram as well. But we're trying to, most of our followers right now are on Instagram, so we're trying to see if we can get the algorithm to work for YouTube as well, because that's where we will be pushing the film.
Absolutely. So go follow, go give a rom-com film a subscription on YouTube. Go share this. Let folks know about the impending release on June 27th. Get that algorithm to listen to us and let it know that we want to see it. So
exactly.
Got the link tree as well, which I'll share one more time with folks in the chat. Make sure to bookmark that as well. And I just want to say thank you so much again for joining us today on the Aspec podcast. It was really lovely catching up and hearing how things have, gone in the past year and 4 months since we last chatted, and just to see, see this, a rom-com film, released, and to see its to see how, how it's been received, and to find out about it winning, the audience award is really exciting as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. And thank you everyone who's been supporting our project these past couple of years. And I'm so happy everyone will get to finally see the finished product.
Absolutely. I cannot wait.